Let's look at some market indicators for next week. These are macro indicators, so it's not individual stocks, although they might influence individual stocks. So these are mainly prints and speeches. So on Monday, we've got some data out of Germany. We're getting industrial production month on month for September. That's sort of been floating around zero, but we might get another negative figure. Yeah, basically not a good sign for Germany. Then we also have some PMI information from S&P. That is the construction for October. That has also been trending downwards quite significantly, so not good data coming from Germany, indicating another slowdown, aka recession. So we expect that number to be better than the previous, but still pretty far below 50, which is basically seen as negative. Then we have the Halifax House Price Index for the UK. So this is also a bit of an indication of the housing market and where things are moving. That we're going to get a month-on-month and a year-on-year figure for October. That's also been trending downwards a little bit, but it is sort of a seasonal, it's a very cyclical thing, and it is at the moment following patterns, so I wouldn't get too concerned about that. It hasn't really broken pattern yet. And then you've got your BRC retail sales for the UK, and the forecast there is that it will go down as well, but this might also be because of basically the UK entering winter. So we'll see about that. And then on the other side of the world, in the USA space, we have three people from the Federal Reserve going to give speeches on Monday. So we'll see what they think. There's going to be a lot of body language reading there to see what they're going to do with the next interest rate hike. And then on Tuesday, we're getting the balance of trade for France. Now, France has not been doing well when it comes to the balance of trade. I'm not actually sure how they're going to fix this, but France is going to, they might, I mean, if this was a business, it would have closed. They're basically just going deeper in negative territory with their balance of trade. So I'm not sure where they're getting money from. But yeah, France is going into some dangerous territory. They're really getting into a troubled area. Then the Europe area, we've got the Europe Central Bank. We've got a speech from Andrea. And then we're also going to get some retail sales figures from the Euro area, month on month and year on year. And they have been very negative, but they're sort of slowly going upwards. I think in the long run, let me just zoom in on that figure for Tuesday. That is the retail sales. Let's just go into the year on year. I'd actually like to just look at this one. Oh wait, no, sorry. This one is actually, it is quite bad, and it looks like it's still trending quite negative, but this might be because of the recession that's coming. It's some of the signals we're getting of the recession. And then on Tuesday, we're also for the UK, we're getting another speaker from the Bank of England. His name's Paul. And in the US, we're getting an economic optimism report. So this is very similar to the Michigan consumer sentiment, where they basically interview a couple of consumers and they ask them how the economy is going to go, just getting their opinion, seeing if they're optimized, optimist or pessimistic about the future. And this has been very far below 50, which basically indicates pessimism. Whereas the Michigan consumer sentiment is actually still above 50, so it's still positive about the future, or there's still optimism. So it's very interesting how these two reports basically are polar opposites. Then we're also going to get some inflation rate figures. This is now still Tuesday from China. And this is also a very interesting one I want to watch, because China, the interest rates hasn't really been affecting China that badly. But it seems like, if you look at the graph, if you look at the sort of general trends, it looks like it is going to start affecting China. There's also a producer price index we're getting from China. And that has actually been trending, I think it actually went negative. That's basically inflation for producers that has gone negative. The goods and the raw materials that they need to purchase have actually gone down in price. But this might actually be because of the COVID zero policies that China recently had, where a lot of production have slowed down, and the raw materials are just not in such high demand because there's just not a lot of production. So there's an oversupply and too much and not enough demand. So that actually brought those prices down a little bit. Then on Wednesday, in the Euro area, we're going to get a non-monetary policy meeting from the European Central Bank. Usually this doesn't make too much of an effect on the stock markets, but this meeting might be a little bit different purely because of the scenario that we're in right now, where we're in this highly volatile scenario with high interest rates, high inflation, and obviously energy shortages. Then also on Wednesday, from Germany, we're going to get the new 10-year bond auction numbers. We're going to see how attractive their bonds is going to be and if there's going to be any value in buying the euro. So this day might affect the euro a little bit. Then from the US, we're getting some wholesale inventories, which basically indicates how much products are actually being sold in the retail sector. So obviously, if wholesale inventory starts rising, it means that the consumers are probably slowing down. If wholesale inventories are dropping, that means obviously either there's supply chain issues or the consumers are actually spending more money. So we'll get some new figures there. We're going to get some gasoline stocks. This usually is not as important, but now it is going to be important purely because of the diesel shortages that might happen in the UK soon. These figures are going to be watched very closely, so these figures might actually make an impact on the stocks. We're also going to get some crude oil stocks. We know that America has been releasing a lot of its own stockpiles of oil into basically into the economy, so that to bring the oil prices down. We're also going to get another person from the Federal Reserve that's going to be giving a speech, Barkin. And then on Thursday, we're actually going to get some South African numbers, my country. So that's where I'm right now. Basically about mostly mining production and manufacturing. So in general, mining production has slowed down. Gold production has also slowed down. And it's just slowly but surely trending downwards over the years. I'm not exactly sure why. It's possibly corruption, possibly union issues. I don't know. I haven't really done too much investigation into that. Manufacturing production is also slowly it took a bit of a dip, but it might be turning around now. And then on Thursday, we're also going to get a speech from the Bank of England. Ten Ro. I can't pronounce that name. From the Bank of England, and then some big. This is going to be a market mover. It's going to be a very hot day because there's a lot of things happening on Thursday in the US, different times of the day, and all of them might have quite significant changes in the stock market. So the stock market might go up and down quite a bit. So first off, we will get inflation figures. So this is CPI figures, core inflation rate. So this is headline inflation, as well as initial jobless claims. So that's obviously people that file for jobless claims the first time. Then a bit later, we'll get speeches also from people from the Fed. There's going to be 3, Harker, Logan, and George. These speeches don't always happen. A lot of times these speeches are just skipped for some reason, and there's not a lot of ways to find out if they are going to happen or not. So those speeches are possibly happening, 3, and then later in the day we'll also get a monthly budget statement from I think it's from the US government. So Thursday, big day for the markets. There might be a lot of movement in the markets. Mostly, obviously, this is going to be stuff that affects your S&P, your Dow Jones, and your Nasdaq, and your indexes quite significantly. On Friday, a lot more focused on the Europe side. We're going to get inflation figures from Germany, year on year and month on month for October. Inflation there has been quite out of control. Basically, obviously, going into winter as well as energy prices is mainly the sort of the thing rising prices. And then in the UK, we're also getting a lot of figures there from GDP, quarter on quarter, year on year, month on month, 3-month average, manufacturing production. We're getting a goods trade balance. The UK has been struggling with their goods trade balance, but it looks like it was quite a dip lately, but it looks like they might be coming out of it. So we just need to maybe give it some time, but we'll get a new figure there. And then also in the European Central Bank, we get 2 speeches there on Friday from Guindos and Lane. And then in the US, another important one, might be a market mover, the Michigan consumer sentiment. And this actually might be a big market mover because for some reason the sentiment is very much watched, even though it's not a big sample. It's quite a small sample size. They only interview about 500 people, but the questions they ask these people are quite a very vast spectrum of questions, not about themselves, but where they're now, where they think they'll be, where other people, how do they see other people economically, what do they think about the general government, etc., etc. I'm not actually 100% sure the questions are, I just know that they're very diverse. So maybe that's why this is a very watched figure. And this is still a positive figure, which basically indicates that there's a lot of optimism from the consumer side. So usually if this number goes up, stock goes up. If this number goes down, stock goes down. So yeah, that's basically the indicators for next week. And yeah, if you like this content, remember to press the button. And if you want to see more, remember to subscribe. This is Steve. Happy trading.